Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of your favorite podcast, Buffaloes Nation. The Buffaloes podcast brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today, or also check out their website at mccanadafasters.shop. Deterico, serving Manitoba producers for over 80 years in the agricultural industry. Be sure to check out their website at deterico.ca for more information on why they're so trusted, and take a look at their great products at terrico.ca. And two goaltenders, your goalie's personal video review service. Visit their website to check out more about what they do at Gordie Tumilson goalies.ca. Thank you to Gordie and his brand, as well as Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools and Terrico for supporting G-Show Productions and gshow.ca, as well as Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy coverage here on the network. We got a packed house tonight for this episode. Not literally, since we did all these interviews virtually. All of them are pre-recorded. And yeah, pretty excited for this one. We're going to start off with something we're going to do for the remainder of this season of Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Hockey, and that's bring on co-coach of the U18 female prep Buffaloes, Kirt Fortney, to do a weekly Academy report. Me and Gordie Tumilson have been doing an Academy report weekly, but it's only been about the games in the past week and the upcoming games. Me and Kirt talk a bit about that in this, but what this is essentially going to be is, since Kirt is not only coach but a dorm parent at Pilot Mound, we'll get the inside scoop on what the vibe is like around the academy from week to week heading forward, everything that's going on internally in Pilot Mound that Kirt can update us on, as well as, preparing for the upcoming games, and also talking about the upcoming evaluation camps, which the first few are happening in March for the academy. Exciting stuff, and can't wait to bring on the man himself, Kirt Fortney, up next to start things off here for the Buffaloes podcast, episode 18, brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and goaltenders. Kirt Fortney up next. It's Kirt Fortney, a co-coach for the U18 female prep Buffaloes. We're doing something a bit different on the Buffaloes podcast this week, where we're going to get all the inside info from Kirt in terms of, expanding on just more so than just the games that are coming up for the teams in the academy. Since Kirt's not only a co-coach but a dorm parent, got to ask you, Kirt, how's it been throughout this year with you doing something a bit different for the first time, being, a role model that way as a dorm parent?
It's been good, just being a positive influence on the kids, around them almost 24/7. So just kind of being that good role model around, trying to help them with their habits, and they're really creating that routine for them so that they can be successful later on in college, because this is the first step for most of them, first time moving away from home. So they're not used to doing that stuff on their own yet, and then when you get to move on to junior and college and stuff like that, then when you're on your own for the first time, and these kids here are going to be have a step up on everyone, because they're going to have that experience already being on their own for the majority, and they're going to have those good habits of creating plans and setting their day out of what they have to do, when to eat, how to get rest, be fueled up for everything, and doing everything like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it right. It's a huge adjustment for, so many of these kids that are moving away for the first time, and so many kids coming in that are playing academy hockey for the first time. I was a dorm parent. One sec, just gotta mute my notifications here that I'm getting all of a sudden. But as a dorm parent, you talked about helping the kids build their habits throughout the season, right? What have you seen, from your point of view in terms of how every single player throughout the academy has really developed and grown this season off the ice?
Yeah, we really got a good group of kids here this year, so it's been a lot easier, when you got those kids that are wanting to succeed, and got that drive, and they'll listen, and once in a while they'll make mistakes or whatever, and you walk around, come inside with their outdoor shoes, and they get them to scrub the floor and mop the floor, and then they don't make those mistakes again, and just trying to keep the place inside clean, and everyone's, just kind of having that discipline off the ice, and it translates to how they're playing on the ice. And you can see it now with majority of the teams. They're starting to have some more success in the second half of the year. They're getting that discipline off the ice, and that's translating to on the ice as well. And it's just making them, good humans all around, and we're excited, and it's just been a good group.
Now, I'm not sure if there's ever been much stress throughout, the players in the academy obviously there's stress when exam times came around, which those are in the rearview mirror at this point, for now at least, for their exams at this point. But yeah, talk about what it's been like seeing the players and just speaking to them, how they've been able to deal with the stresses this season, not only, having to focus on playing the game, but focusing on keeping their grades up as well.
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge for some kids for sure. Coming to some are moving far away into a new system. Got kids from the States moving up to Canada, taking Canadian history, something that they've never had to take before. And you got people like that, and you got different math classes and science classes for the first time, especially those, grade 8s, 9s. Now they're getting into high school for the first time. So now science is it's not just science anymore. Now you got physics and biology and chemistry and all of that kind of aspects of the school. And then plus being on the road so much and trying to find time to do that study hall on the road, be able to find that time to have tutors. And when they're here, kids are, they're putting in their work in the study hall, and then if they need extra help, they're at the school, they're finding tutors around town to go to afterward to help get their grades up, because they are on the road a lot. And that is one of the challenges of being academy, is you're on the road a lot and trying to keep up that school marks and keeping that stress. So when there's some downtime, we want to make sure they have some downtime to just relax and distress. And then other times we'll have some activities and some games and put some movies on for the kids. So just kind of help relieve that kind of stress, and just talking to them all the time, getting to know them. We're just building those relationships that if they have anything, they can come to one of us. If they have any questions to schools, I've been able to help a few more so in math area and kind of stuff like that. So just kind of knowing that just gotta push through it and kind of get that stress. Once it's done, you can move on, and try to help them find that balance between stressing about school and hockey, work, life, personal, all that kind of balance is.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And great that you guys at the academy have been able to, implement some things to, allow for these athletes to de-stress and, give them some freedom of their own, which is great to hear. But in terms of the hockey aspect of things, all teams traveling this weekend coming up, Kirt, except for the U17s who are playing the Notre Dame Hounds twice at home at Blackjack Stewart Arena, with playoffs on the horizon starting on March 4th throughout the CSSHL. I mean, from your side of things with the U18 female, how have practices been ramping up at this point?
Yeah, we've been really focusing on, that paddling, that competing, and keeping that practice up tempo. It's only a couple more weeks left, only I think 6 or 7 more games, or 5 more games in playoffs or something like that left. And so just kind of making sure we're keeping that focus, keeping that tempo, that speed up in practices, so that we're staying sharp and fresh and ready to go. Still allowing for times for learning and stuff like that as well. But this time of the year, we're really just trying to be ready to compete, because those are the games that you win. You don't really win too many games this time of year with that top end skill. It's, are you able to compete for 60 minutes? Are you able to work hard and battle and find those loose pucks and get those pucks out and that kind of thing? So that's been what we've been focusing on. A lot of the other teams have been very similar. This past week or so, there's been a bit of a sickness going around here, so it's been a little tough trying to find ways to, making sure you're getting rested, getting your vitamins, getting your fluids in, and then staying away if you need that extra day of rest from practice, and then the ones at practice, making sure they're going and working hard.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like nobody is truly like not many are truly like fully healthy at this point in the season as well with how physical things have been and how long this season has really been going on. It's February at this point, almost at the end of it, which is crazy. But with the illness, I mean, is that something that's just like you said, is it something that has happened recently within the past few weeks? You feel like, this give me an update, I guess, on the illness, what's happening there.
Yeah, it just kind of started the past week or so, maybe week and a half. It's gonna happen. You got 80 kids living in the dorms together, and I think we had something earlier in October or something too. And it's just this goes around, so you just gotta making sure, again, helping these kids being away for the first time, that they're getting the rest is a big one. So that rest really helps get away over any illness, making sure they're getting their medicine, they're get drinking lots of fluids, kind of stuff. Um, for the most part, everyone's on the upswing. There's been a couple that are still not doing so well, but it's hard this weekend with everyone playing games. So everyone's either, not 100% because of injury or not 100% because of the sickness, but it should be all good by the end of the weekend here. So going into playoffs, everyone should be 100% from sickness standpoint. Injuries that's another aspect.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, and yeah, hoping for that to be the case. Important to get the R&R this point in the season, especially for all the players in the academy. But I guess from your perspective, I've asked some of your players about it this season, Kurt, and it's been a question I've asked often. But I feel like it's evident in this case because three of the four teams are on the road. But for this U18 female group specifically, how huge is it to continue to be able to play on the road, even though you're just traveling over to Winnipeg? It's going to be a longer trip over to Penticton for playoffs, but to be able to get used to that, to the road environments that this team has been accustomed to at this point, how huge is that for playoffs coming up?
Yeah, it'll be good for us. At Penticton, it's a pretty long bus trip. So, I mean, since Christmas, all our games have been relatively day trips, Winnipeg and down to the States to Dakota College and stuff. So we've been haven't had that long bus trip that we had the first couple in earlier in the year. So just getting used to getting on a bus, driving. It's a lot different to when you're getting on a bus and then playing the same day versus, getting on a bus, getting there a day earlier and then playing the next day. So just getting used to, playing in a new rink, playing in a different rink, something you're not used to, getting used to the lighting, the stands, whatever it may be. Just being comfortable playing away from where we practice every single day is a big thing. And then just knowing that, the game's still the same no matter where we're playing. There's still ice, there's still 3 periods, and we just got to compete. If you compete for full 60 minutes, we're gonna have a chance to be successful in the game. So just kind of making sure the girls are focused on that and understand that there's only a few more games left, and then they some more free time after that. So
Yeah, and a few games coming up this weekend for this female U18 Prep Buffaloes squad in Winnipeg at the Hockey for All Center. But uh, for the upcoming evaluation camps, I guess, starting in March, there's going to be some run in April and one in May as well, which will be a combination of male and female. Could you let us in on some more details? I mean, I've had a chance to ask Gordie Tumilson a bit about it, but what this year's evaluation camps are going to entail?
yeah, we got the U15 and the U18 female one coming up March, I think 22nd, just before or 22nd, 23rd, just before spring break there, and then the U17s and U18s in April, and then we'll have all four teams on a single day in May. And just looking for all the players. We'll have some returning players or current players on that at the camp, and then have other players coming in, just looking to see who's got that, who's able to compete, who's able to work hard. Looking for players for gonna be on that team on our teams for next year. You know, just looking for those hardworking, smart hockey players. The ones that gonna help us win some more games next year, because I think every team is gonna be graduating a few players. So just kind of looking and then seeing how they stack up with the players that are on our team currently, and it'll be a good day just to evaluate some players, get to meet them, get to meet their parents, which is also a big thing about these camps. It's getting to talk to the kids. It's one thing to watch a video on kids, and you can only see so much, and then to see them play and then be able to talk to them afterwards, you get a better feel for how they think they did and how they'll fit into the team, and looking for those good character kids that are all around, want to help in the community, good in school, everything that we're kind of about as an academy, just looking for that.
Yeah, for sure. And talked about it many times on this show. As important as skill is, the character within the individual player is that much important as well. It matters as much as the skill set. So, yeah, Kurt, we're going to continue to talk about the evaluation camps coming up in future editions of this segment. But thanks for coming on as the guest of this week's edition of Academy Report at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. Can't wait to connect with you weekly here coming up to hear more insight about what's happening within Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Graham. Well, I'll talk to you again next week.
And Kirt Fortney, co-coach of the U18 Prep Female Buffaloes, joining in a new weekly segment for the first time here on the Buffaloes podcast, the Academy Report. I usually do one solo, but thought we'd do it a bit differently and do it a bit differently moving forward, and actually got someone who's over there daily at the Academy to let us know what's going on. And yeah, we'd spoken about evaluation camps. Pilot Mound put this out on their social media announcing their latest upcoming evaluation camp for the male U18 prep program, running from April 19th to the 21st. So 3 days there for Pilot Mountain to take a look at you, and this could be a place where you could be looking to play. Miles Gordon has been a goaltender for this team and ended up moving on to Junior A, and guess what? He didn't even come from Canada. He came from the States. So lots of opportunity here for players of all places to play for Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. Be sure to check out their website at pilotmountainhockeyacademy.com if you are interested in joining this camp and you're of the age level, of course. As for the U18 Prep female team, they had a huge win yesterday against the Delta Hockey Academy Black Squad, 3-2 in a shootout, as mentioned, for the North Shore Warriors. This is a team that they're playing tonight. That game underway right now. All games can be seen on Flow Sports for them this weekend. They also play on the Saturday and the Sunday coming up this weekend. And joining me now to talk about it all is going to be Gordie Tumilson, talk about the U18 females, impressive start to this week. The U15s, how they've fared, as well as the U17s and U18s, as the U17s, the only team to stay home this weekend for all four teams in the academy, as three of them are on the road. That's coming up next here on the Buffaloes podcast, brought to you by Make Cannon Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Gordie Tumilson joining us next. Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as he always does. Gordie, had a chance to speak with Kirt Fortney this morning. Didn't have a chance to dive into it. Saved it for now. Should have got his thoughts on it, but nonetheless, we're going to get into it now. They came off a huge win against the Delta Hockey Academy Black team in a shootout 3-2 for a team that was coming off of a big time loss against RHA Winnipeg the weekend before. How huge was this truly for them to start off the weekend this way?
That's great. It was wonderful. I was at the game. I don't get to see many games live anymore because of the number of games that we play, and I'm watching them all on TV of sorts. But anyway, the live game in Winnipeg, and it was a wonderful event. We got great, everybody tried really, really hard. The shots on goal were pretty even. I think they outshot us by 10. And our goalkeeper was exceptional to last night. Alex Mills probably had her finest moment in a Buffalo's uniform, and made numerous great big saves. Had a few nice big crossbar stops, and a huge glove save on the third shootout shot that preserved the win. So yeah, good for us, and yeah, we're feeling pretty good about things today.
Yeah, and I mean, huge since it was a team that is a top six team in the U18 female prep division. And it was a game, Gordy, where this Buffalo's team was down 2-0, was able to come back and win it in that shootout. Taking that into account in terms of the level of competition they faced and that no quit mentality they showed out there, probably the highlight, the high mark of the season so far.
Well, certainly one of them. I mean, OHA Black's a good team, and we've played them tough all year long. So that this doesn't come as a surprise. They have trouble with us. We don't have as much trouble with them. So I guess that all works in our favor. And we got a really, again, a great performance in goal. I mean, all the kids tried their hearts out there, and whatnot. And we got a couple of breaks maybe, and good on us for a change to get the breaks on our side. And say good goalie performance, and we got to win. So, yeah, the kids, they're a pretty resilient bunch. I really do like the way they keep coming back. Yeah.
And Piper Miller scoring the goal in the shootout for the Buffaloes. Alex Mills, of course, earning a huge win in that one. Gordy, and they're taking on the North Shore Warriors tonight at the Hockey for All Center. Okanagan Hockey Academy Black on Saturday, tomorrow, and Okanagan Hockey Academy on Sunday morning to finish off their weekend and their schedule of games for February here in 2024. Winnable games ahead for this Buffaloes team, Gordy. I feel like, especially if they continue to play the way they played last night or yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, the girls always have a chance. It's amazing. Almost always have a chance. There's a couple teams we don't have a chance against, doesn't matter what we do. But at the end of the day, they certainly, we're certainly in the games this weekend for the most part. We're looking forward to playing these guys the rest of our weekend. And yeah, if we can get that extra little notch in goal, that's kind of been our. It hasn't been a downfall. You can't sort of blame the goalies for the losses for the most part, but when you can come up with extra big saves just at the right time, as we all know, goalies can make a difference. And finally, we've had a few of those early in the season, mostly from Brooke Adams. But Alex Mills stepped up big time this time, and she's had a couple games at the start of the year, but this is her best effort in recent memory, and we're pretty darn pleased with it. So yeah, chance to win more than one coming up again starting tonight.
Yeah, and taking a look at the standings, Gordy, the Buffaloes, they're most likely going to finish in that second last spot, but playing a team that's just in front of them in terms of the standings in North Shore, and Okanagan Hockey Academy being in 10th, Okanagan Hockey Academy Black being the last place team in that division. So for sure, three very winnable games this weekend coming up. And in terms of huge wins for this Buffaloes team this year, Gordy, coming recently too against Dakota College at Bottineau a few weekends ago at this point. But for the U15s, Gordy, they started off their weekend of games yesterday, losing 4-2 to PCHA. They'll be playing more games coming up this weekend. Dive into that game, though, what went down for them to come up on the short side of the stick.
Yeah, just two deflection goals were the difference. It was a 2-2 game. Shots again were pretty darn close. And they got two deflections that got by our Gavin Hildebrand. And beyond that, it was go back and forth and see who's going to come up with a winner. And they managed to get it. We didn't. So that's the way hockey's played. And that hasn't changed since when it was invented, in the 1900s. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the bounces, like you said, I mean, they've always been a part of the game and a deflection, Gordy. I mean, you know as well as anyone, better than anyone, how hard it is to stop those ones, truly. But this Buffalo's team with a chance to go up against some teams where they're going to have a shot in these games. I feel like potentially Gordy against BWC Academy, North Shore Warriors, and Delta Hockey Academy. Of course, Delta being a top four team, BWC Academy being sixth place, but the North Shore Warriors ranking a bit lower down in the standings. So, what's the recipe to success against these teams coming up for this Buffalo squad to at least stay in the fight?
Well, against North Shore, I mean, we're right there. We can beat those guys, and we know that that's a team that we can beat. BWC beat us this morning, 8-2. They had a really good game, and yeah, they're a little bit better than we are. That sixth place means a lot when you get into boys hockey. It's a big difference when you're, not in that upper quartile. So, yeah, we're looking forward to North Shore tomorrow. And that's a game again that we can win, and we know that, and we're going to go give them everything we've got. I know that the boys are fired up for that one.
Yeah, and of course, Delta going to be a tough one too, Gordy. But
Yeah,
always up for a challenge. I feel like these young guns are, and yeah, I mean, we talk so much about the top end guys on this Buffalo squad, in particular the U15s, in terms of Forrest Carlson, Cole Landerville, Gavin Noseworthy, and rightfully so. I've been trying to, kind of get some information about who's playing better, a player in particular. But in terms of the whole group, I mean, gonna have to expect to see a group effort throughout the rest of the season. Not just Carlson, Landerville, and Noseworthy putting up the stats, but other contributors coming in to give this team the best success they can, I'd have to think.
yeah. Right now, I think it's a collective rather than individuals. We need to play better defensively, that be more responsible, and that's not just the defensemen. That's everybody, and especially in our end. We tend to forget to bump a guy instead of trying to stick check a guy and poke check a guy. Make sure you get your body on somebody, block their way to the net. Don't let them skate by you. And we didn't start off with the strongest defense. They've all gotten better, but of course, so is the other teams. So when everything evens out, we need to play five in our zone really tough. We don't have a lot of. We have one good scoring line and a couple of other players that can pop a few goals here and there, but it's a collective effort. Winning 3 and 4 to 2 and 1 and those kinds of things are for us. We're not going to score many. We're not going to score a lot of goals against most teams, and so yeah, playing good. Anyway, you play good defensively. Guess what? The turnovers and the changes of the puck. Puck goes the other way, and all of a sudden we've got 3-on-2s and the 2-on-1s, and we're scoring those kind of goals. So that's what we're looking forward to: is good defensive effort. That takes care of a lot of business, and I think Gavin's in the goal tomorrow, so that'll be he'll have a fun one again.
Yeah, and I mean Barry Trotz was doing it better than any other coach in the NHL for a long time during his tenure with the New York Islanders. Focus on defense first, and I don't care what you guys do offensively. Let the creative players be the creative players, right? And
Yep.
I mean for this U15 team, feeling like if they can continue to bring in players like they have this season, Gordy and Noseworthy, Landerville, and Carlson. You have to think if they can continue to do that, this future is bright for this program at Pilot Mountain
Yeah.
Hockey Academy. We're going to throw it to a break here, Gordy. Quick transition, about like 3 or 5 seconds, and I'll be back with you to talk about the U18s and the U17s here on the Buffaloes podcast with Gordie Tumilson. Stick with us. Back,
Sure.
everybody, to the Buffaloes podcast with Gordie Tumilson. In a weekend, Gordie, where all three out of the four teams are out of the province. The U17s are the only team staying home. They take on the Notre Dame Hounds twice this weekend. Coming up, the preview for this weekend, Gordie, a team where this Buffalo squad has had, of course, success against them this year.
Yeah, we're this is a great thing for us to be able to play Notre Dame, and and have good close games normally, and there'll be a lot of effort. Notre Dame doesn't back down, and neither do we. And getting ready for playoffs, and they get a week off, and the playoffs begin for this division on March the 4th. That's the first group that goes down to Penticton. So, a win or two on the weekend sets them up for a good week of practice, and then a bus trip out to Penticton on the weekend next weekend, and off we go into the 5-day playoff round that goes on there. So yeah, we're looking forward to two good games. Both our goalies will get a chance to play. I think Pete Moreau goes tonight, and Kyle Bielman plays tomorrow. That would be the rotation that we've managed to hold all year long. It's been a neat year for three of our four teams have gone that route, been able to go that route all year long. They're the only ones that have not are the U18 boys, but for the most part, the other three teams have been able to go with rotation all the way through the season, and hopefully that'll be the same case for all the kids to get a chance to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, come playoff time, the goal is to ultimately win and play your best players. But we've talked so much about the strength, one in particular about the rosters consistently in Pilot Mountain has been the goaltending. So to have that advantage in a playoff game, right, where say perhaps one goaltender is struggling, the other could potentially come in, like how huge is that of an advantage, especially when for some of these teams not as strong outside of their goaltenders is the one in particular in the U17s.
Yeah, we're stacked in goal in U17, and Quinn Burfoot, who's ill by the way, and is not on the road trip with the U18s. Then we have another backup guy from out that way to helping us out. But nonetheless, these things happen. But yeah, our goaltending has been really strong for the most part all year, and all the teams. And of course we start the season off. That's kind of the goal for both goalies on the team, to be the guy they go to in the playoffs. And so my hope is always that they play so well, both of them on each team, that they just rotate them through and they all get a chance to play. And because that's the experience that they're here for, et cetera, et cetera. Coaches, on the other hand, head coaches, they go with a gut feeling, and sometimes that's not the case for the rotation. So he's kind of lived with that a little bit. But goalies, there's only one net, and we can only put one guy in there at a time. Sometimes it'd be good if we could put two. Against some of those good teams, but we go with one guy and one gal, and do our best.
I wonder what that would be like, Gordie. Two goaltenders in one net, in one crease. That'd be
Yeah, would you
sure.
would you play them side by side, or one guy in front and one guy behind? And that's well, I thought about this many times.
I
Had many
feel
dreams about this.
I feel like the basic setup would be side by side, but if you want to get a bit more creative in advance, you can start staggering them a bit in the crease, get the rotation in there. I see where you're going, Gordie. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of years of being able to think of this stuff too. Ending coach.
Nightmares, Graham, nightmares.
Nightmares for Gordie Tumilson. What are they doing to him? What are they doing to him? But for this U17 squad, I mean, talking with Rick McConnell, uh, a big thing, and we've talked about it so many times, is the effort level that he expects out of this group. He's been pretty pleased from it this season, from his group. Obviously, you could always have more effort. You can never have enough, but the effort's been pretty darn good from this team this season. They could potentially move up in the standings with two big wins. If they split, they'll remain 2 points behind Notre Dame. But the effort level obviously going to be huge this weekend and moving forward for this team, given that, yes, guys like Carroll's have been huge on the back end, but guys starting to pick it up offensively, got to keep that work going on that front end to drive the offense, I guess.
Absolutely. The guys have all gotten better, and especially the newcomers, and some of the kids from the states that we've got, who just don't have the background or the experience, and that's why they've come to us, because they need that experience. They're skilled guys, but it's the bumping and grinding and tough play around, and getting open, and every battle for every inch on the ice, et cetera, et cetera, and you got to learn that stuff. And that's what they've done. And so yeah, we're hoping that we've out coached them. Our guys are going to outplay them. It's going to be the schedule makers did a great job of figuring this one out. 2 games at the end of the year against teams that are 2 points apart. You can't figure it out any better than that, I don't think. So when you're guessing at the start of the season, and so yeah, it's getting a few goals from some different people would be helpful, and hopefully that's going to help sort of our back end goal scoring of Carroll's and Hurst.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This Buffalo's team hoping to finish their season continuing the positive vibes with 2 more big games coming up tonight and Sunday afternoon against the Notre Dame Hounds. The only Buffalo's team staying home for the weekend. For the U18s, Gordie finishing off with them. They're in Calgary, Alberta this weekend. Take on the Edge School. They did this morning. The score, we don't have it yet, so yeah, I guess stay tuned for that on the Buffalo's Twitter or X page, whatever it's called now, coming
Yep.
out later. But they're going to be playing in an afternoon game tomorrow and a game in the morning on Sunday to finish off their weekend against Calgary International Hockey Academy tomorrow and South Alberta Hockey Academy. These games, another tough test for a Buffalo's team that I guess you could argue is outskilled on paper, but an opportunity to continue to get better. Again, 1% is the big, I guess, motto has been this year, Pat.
Yep, and every game helps, and we play a game and we got beat in our game today in the U15 program, 8-2, and a couple of goals that I thought maybe we'd like back, but part of the learning process. And when I asked the goalkeeper after the game, when we do tweet back and forth or text back and forth after the game, and I asked him what he learned today, and he had a couple of comments about something that he didn't realize or reaffirmed something. So, we're always trying to learn. It doesn't matter what level you are. If you're an NHL guy, you're a U18 last place team guy or second last place team guy. You're still learning. You want to move up as an individual to the next level. And maybe your team is not that great, but you as a player need to continue to get better to help your team and be your own future. So guess what? Learn something, know what know it, and it's another tool in the toolbox is what we're told to say nowadays. So that's what we say, and it's true too. We figured something out today, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always opportunities to learn, right? No matter what the outcome of an event is, a score is in sport, you can always learn from it. And as long as these boys are learning from, game to game on what they can do better individually and even as a team to come together that way, that's one of the big things I think that goes a long way into helping development in terms of the IQ side of things that way, Gordie, building that muscle memory what to expect in those situations. But I haven't really had a chance to speak with much of the coaching staff with the U18s as of late. Going to be doing that more so since we're going to be releasing more blogs on all the teams in Pilot Mound as we get closer to the playoffs here. And then we'll probably release some as playoffs are starting as we're getting into them. But systematically, obviously they've gone up against a lot of good offensively gifted teams, but 201 goals against. Obviously the goaltending is solid there too, but could we be seeing them maybe looking to tweak things more so defensively so maybe they're even more protective and get better results there as the final games get played?
Yeah, I think that's always the hope that we're going to play better defensively, and as we play those games, we try and make sure that we do play better. However, the other teams don't, they got better too, and the really gifted kids that play against us, the really gifted systems that they have, they don't let us in if they don't want to, and we have to battle for every inch, and that's not a bad thing. um, as long as you don't give up. I mean, that's kind of the key for any player. It doesn't matter what position or any sport. As long as you're not giving up, don't slump your shoulders. Just go and try the next shift. I know it's hard, but it's part of life learning, right? I mean, it's not losing, it's learning, and so go out, play every shift as hard as you can. Try not to let the guy you're playing against score a goal, and that's about all you can do. If you can get everybody in on the deal, And if you have a little bit better skills and a little bit better reaction time, then you're going to do a better job. But again, the other teams are some of them are pretty darn good, and they just keep coming at you and don't give you much hope.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of makes me think of the first game of the Winnipeg Ice versus Central Plains Capitals series that we called on Tuesday night, where Central Plains, they got outshot like 21-5 in the first period, but they got an excellent goaltender who won goaltender of the year was just announced today in that league. And her team, for the most part, was doing a good job at blocking shots and taking away the slot, but Winnipeg Ice best team in that league. Their talent slowly took over, and it's tough when the opponents have that much more talent than you do. But like you said, Gordie, if you can continue to fight, that's the biggest thing, and I think that's the biggest win of this season for this U18 male squad. If anything, is they've never quit from what we've seen so far this year. Gordie, we're going to talk more about that team as well as all the other teams in the academy coming up next week as we get closer and closer to playoffs here in the CSSHL. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to talk to you next Friday. Until then, Gordie, you take care and enjoy all the great hockey coming your way as always.
Always great, Graham. Thank you.
And great to have Gordie on the show this week. Just to reiterate what's been happening in the Buffalo's games at this point, for the U18 females, they are 1-0 this week so far, winning in a shootout yesterday. The prep female Buffaloes playing tonight as well. We'll have the update for the scores of this game, hopefully, by the end of this episode. Probably not, though, since this game just got underway at 7 p.m. Check out PM Buffaloes on X for all the details on all the scores as they post them there the most frequently. But Saturday and Sunday, the next 2 days that this Buffalo squad will be playing in, all games can be seen on Flow Sports. For the U15s, they lost yesterday to Pacific Coast Hockey Academy, losing by a pretty decisive score this morning to BWC Academy. They'll be back in action against the North Shore Warriors and Delta Hockey Academy on Sunday morning. Morning game tomorrow as well, as you can see there. All games there for the U15s can be seen on Flow Sports. For the male U18s, tough loss this morning. Ended up actually losing 13-0 to Edge School. They'll be back in action tomorrow afternoon against Calgary International Hockey Academy. And on Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time against South Alberta Hockey Academy. All games can be seen there on Flow Sports, and games here can be seen on Flow Sports. This game actually happening right now. The Buffaloes U17s taking on the Notre Dame Hounds. They'll be back in action against them tomorrow at the Blackjack Stewart Arena. As the Buffaloes, if they're able to come away with 2 wins, they will pass Notre Dame in the U17 standings. Like I said, for all score updates, be sure to check out PM Buffaloes on Twitter to stay up to date with your favorite team throughout from the academy. But speaking of the U18 males, I had a chance to catch up with Kalix Monkman, team captain of the U18s, who's in his first year with the Buffaloes. He's graduating after this year, but he's left his mark on the academy, and this is a pre-recorded interview, but one of the cool things Kalix said to me, and you guys will hear him say it himself, is that he came to Pilot Mountain and wanted to really leave his stamp on the program, and he's done just that with 40 points in 42 games this season. He's been one of the few bright spots on this year's team statistically, and the U18 captain joins the show now. Please welcome in number 21 of the U18 Buffaloes, Kalix Monkman. Up next. Well, it's the team captain of the U18 Buffaloes, Kalix Monkman, joining the show now. Kalix, you're currently in Calgary, Alberta with the team. A few more games coming up this weekend. What's it been like, being out there once again this season, as you boys have been on the road many times?
I think it's been pretty good for us to get out and come play some teams from Alberta, because our division, we only play the 4 teams closer to Pilot Mountain, but it's good to get out and come play different teams.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to get some variety, some diversity in terms of where the teams are coming from that you boys are playing. You had a chance to go down to the States along with the rest of your teammates on numerous occasions this season to not only check out some places to potentially play in the future, but to also play against competition in the NAPHL. Talk about what that experience was like, having some success down in this year.
Yeah, playing in the States, I think our team like had a lot of success down there. Like we got a couple of wins and we made the semis of the NAPHL, but we kind of fell short. But like that's part of the game. So
Yeah, sometimes you're gonna win them, sometimes you're gonna lose them, and a place like I said where this Buffaloes team was able to have success, even though you're playing against a really good competition this year in the CSSHL as you come to play against along with the rest of your teammates. Do you feel like maybe playing on the road as much as this team has is going to be a benefit come playoff time in Penticton?
yeah, I think because we travel so much, our team will be used to playing out, and because the time zone changes, so like the boys again extra sleep, I guess, like you could so call extra sleep. But yeah, I think we have the upper hand going to Penticton here in the next few weeks.
For yourself, you've been able to lead this Buffalo squad and scoring this season, leading them in goals, assists, and points in total games played of 42. For you, with it being your first year, and of course, you'll be graduating after this season ends, but first year with the academy, putting up this type of production, what's it been like to come here to be able to be looked at as a leader wearing the C and producing the way you have?
I think it's been like something new for me. I've never been like a leader of a team, so it's just something new for me. But to come down to Paramount, I'm just gonna like leaving my footprint here, I guess, and like leaving this place a better place. Like that's what I told my coach at the start of the year. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job at doing that so far.
Yeah, and I mean, doing a good job coming in and being a captain, something like you just told me you haven't been before. What's it been like getting used to being a leader and being looked at as that guy who is gonna fire up the boys, or do you lead more so with your play on ice as a leader?
I like to say I lead my play on ice, like off ice. Like I talk to the boys here and there, but my other leaders to like lead the chant and stuff. I just like perform on ice and like get the tone up and get the boys going on the ice.
Of course, there's no secret that there's been struggles for this team this year in terms of losing a lot in CSSHL play, getting blown out in quite a few games. For yourself, I'm not sure what your history has been beforehand coming to Pilot Mountain, but what's that been like learning from this throughout the season that, it's not going our way usually? How do we come out of this? What's that been like going through those ups and downs?
Like I think like it's been pretty tough, but I mean like playing on like throughout the seasons, like you're not always on a winning team, and I feel like this year hasn't been much of a winning team, but I feel like the boys could like learn a few lessons. We're competing against like top guys like WHL picks and stuff, so I think like for the upcoming seasons, like I think all the boys are pretty like used to playing at the high pace, I'd say.
Yeah, and for yourself, what have been the biggest takeaways that you've taken from this whole experience so far that you want to use to, better yourself in your game in the future?
I think I've taken away like a lot. Like I think playing on the road and like just like getting that routine. I think that's one thing that I learned playing in Paramount. Just like every day practice, workout, school. Like it's like that's something new. Like usually I just like usually with my other teams we'd practice like 3 times a week, not five. So like I mean just getting on like a good schedule for like playing junior in the future.
Right. And I mean, for yourself, you had told me near the start of this interview that you want to make your mark and leave your footprint on this program. You come from Edmonton, Alberta. So what went into it for yourself to, come to a place in Pilot Mountain to play in a small town compared to Edmonton? Was it about just that seeing the opportunity that you could have and use to strive this season like you have personally?
Yeah, like I like got a text from Coach Ethan, and I like thought pretty hard about it, and like I was actually born in Winnipeg, so I have like family, so I'm pretty close to family. When we play RHA Winnipeg, they all come out and like come watch. But yeah, like I thought it was like a pretty good opportunity to take like good. I heard it's like good hockey, so I just like hopped right on board.
Yeah, and that's awesome, knowing that I'm also from Winnipeg, actually in Winnipeg right now doing this, but always great when you're able to have family come out. How special has it been for you this year, not being able to see your family, obviously as much compared to other years, being able to see them more so compared to other players where their family may not be able to come out and watch them in person.
Uh, I think like seeing family like gets me like playing better. Like I think I just want to like prove like how much I've improved and since the last time they seen me. So like I think when they come out and watch, like it's very special, I think, to me, well at least.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I mean, you must be proud about, the development, the strides you've made in your game this season, almost a point per game as well. Can you talk about where you've seen the biggest growth in your development as a player compared to when you started the year to where you're at now?
Uh, I think like my just like I don't know, like my skating, I'd say like because we're skating so much, so I've been pretty good. Like I've been getting like lots of reps in, moving the puck. I just like yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like I I've been like improving a lot over here, I'd say, other than when I was playing at Edmonton, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. And skating, that's something that's kind of the become the default answer because you guys are on the ice every single day, and being able to get some extra reps after practice time with some free skates in there too is fantastic. But what type of player would you say that you are yourself? Would you say that you're more of a playmaker, a sniper? Are you more of an all-around player? Who exactly is Kalix Monkman as a hockey player?
I like to consider myself like a playmaker. Like I'm more of like a pass first type of person. Like if I'm on a 2-on-1, it's just easier to make a pass and like for my teammate to score rather than me like shooting and like a full goalie and then making the save. So I think passing is very easy for me to like move the puck and I get like a confidence boost when I make a good pass here and there. So I'd say like I'm a playmaker, I'd say.
Yeah, and we've seen that this season, 23 assists and 42 total games to lead all Buffaloes on the U18 squad. This team has lost three straight games by pretty big scores. I guess you could argue five, maybe with the 5-0 loss back on Sunday, February 4th. But playing against some more good teams to end off this weekend in Calgary. What's this team looking to take away, looking to bounce back from a huge loss this morning for the rest of the way this weekend?
Like I think the boys, like I think we this morning, like I think we held a pretty close game for the first 30, but like we are short a few guys, so it's kind of tough on us. But I think tomorrow, like my team should be able to play against because the team we play tomorrow isn't as skilled as the one we played today. So I think it'd be a pretty close game tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, can't really fault you boys for losing by as much as you did today. Like you said, taking into account the short bench and how good Edge is, I'd say, is that a big thing? I guess I'll end off with this question, Calix. Is that a huge thing for this team this season? At this point, is no matter what happens in the game, it's looking to gain those moral victories.
Yeah, like we just like perform well together, I'd say, and like we just see who our matchups against. Like looking at like the schedule, we knew we were playing Edge, and we knew like what they were gonna bring to the table. So it's just all about like just keeping like the same pace all game long, and with the short bench, like you can't always keep the same pace the whole game. So
Right. Yep. Yep. Plays an effect for sure, especially when you're going up against a team that is fully loaded to begin with in Edge. Best of luck, though, Calix, to you and the rest of the team to end off this weekend in Calgary, playing tomorrow and on Sunday before coming home to Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. And then the Rink Hockey Academy, you boys will be playing against them to end off your regular season back at home at Blackjack Stewart Arena. I guess I'll end off with that actually quick because you boys haven't played as much at home compared to other teams at the academy. Going to be nice to finish off the season there.
yeah, I think it'd be pretty nice to finish off this season back in Paramount because like to pack the barn and like I think it's a good atmosphere. So we're pretty excited to play our last regular season game there for the year
Yeah.
and my last U18 game there. So I'm
Oh,
excited.
doubt about it. No doubt about it. And Kalix and the rest of the Buffaloes looking to make that one a good one in ways against Rink Hockey Academy coming up on Wednesday. Best of luck, like I said, though, Kalix, all the rest of the way here in Calgary. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And Kalix Monkman, team captain of this year's U18 Buffalo squad, and only the program's second season. Joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, brought to you by McKenna Fasteners and Tools Goaltenders. And as you just saw on the screen throughout that interview, by Terrico, serving Manitoba producers in the agricultural industry for over 80 years. Be sure to check out their website at terrico.ca for more information on their products. But yeah, just running through the schedule again. The U18 female team, haven't seen an update yet. Of course, that game's still going against North Shore, the Hockey for All Center. Of course, be sure to check out PM Buffaloes on Twitter, or on X, that is, for the score updates. And yeah, catch all these games on Flow Sports this weekend, everybody. The U18 females, as well as the U15 males. The U18 prep male Buffaloes, who are back in action tomorrow. Kalix and the crew on Winsport Rink D in Calgary, Alberta, against the Calgary International Hockey Academy. And of course, the Buffaloes U17 program with a chance to potentially move past Notre Dame in the standings over the Hounds, if they're able to come away with 2 clean wins in regulation. So yeah, if you want to see how all of it unfolds, catch tomorrow's matchup on Flow Sports. If you do have their service, 1 p.m. puck drop at Blackjack Stewart Arena, or if you're in the area somehow in Pilot Mountain. If you're watching this and you're from Pilot Mountain, well, you've already probably heard about the game, and you're probably going to make your way down there to watch it tomorrow. Should be fantastic. The U17s, I'd say maybe the best shot out of any team in the academy to come away with a potential championship. Not saying it's going to happen, but definitely got the best odds out of the 4 teams coming up for the playoffs in the CSSHL, which will be starting on March 4th. So we're almost there, ladies and gentlemen, almost at that time to talk about playoff hockey here with the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Buffaloes, as all teams will be traveling to Penticton, British Columbia, as is tradition in the CSSHL playoffs. Going to throw it to one last transition here, and going to send you all off, Buffaloes Nation, with some final words for the Buffaloes podcast, Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy's official podcast for episode 18 here on gshow.ca. Final words coming up next. Well, you made it to the end of this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for episode 18. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Kalix Monkman, Gordie Tumilson, and Kirt Fortney for joining this week's edition of the Buffaloes podcast. If you want to stay up to date with when episodes like this come out, be sure to check us out and potentially follow us on our social media platforms down below in the description of this episode. But another way you can do so is yes, check us out on our website at gshow.ca for our upcoming schedule, but subscribe and turn on notifications here on YouTube so you don't miss any future uploads of the Buffalo podcast. As a notification will pop up on your phone to let you know. Say that's a pretty good way of staying up to date with everything going down here surrounding this Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy content on the network. And yeah, next edition of the Buffaloes podcast comes to you all next Friday, time to be determined, probably 9 p.m. Did it a bit earlier tonight since it's a busy week, got some prior commitments, so had to get this episode out earlier. Stay tuned for next week on our website and on our social media platforms, as we'll be posting all the details for the upcoming episode 19 next week, as might be having Emma Asplin joining the show of the U18 Prep Female Buffaloes. Not confirmed yet, though. Kirt Fortney probably going to be joining the show. All the details will be up next week, the day of this episode when it goes out next Friday, to let you know what's going to be going down for episode 19 of this podcast. I want to thank McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders for sponsoring another edition of the show. Of course, once again, thanks to Kirt, Kalix, and Gordie for joining this edition of the show. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Wishing you all the best this weekend. Wishing you all a safe weekend. Hoping you all enjoy yourselves and enjoy the great hockey coming your way, Buffaloes Nation. Until next Friday, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out and waving. So long, our weekend doesn't end here on G Show Productions. 2 MFHL playoff live streams coming up this week, tomorrow night and on Sunday night, as well as a Winnipeg Jets podcast, Jet Fuel, coming out tomorrow for, I believe it's episode 15 in the afternoon. So stay tuned for that if you want to. But yeah, for everyone here at G Show Productions, myself, G Show, Graham the G Show Forsyth, wishing you all a wonderful weekend and a wonderful rest of your Friday night. Take care, everybody. Tyson Unrose is going to take us away, as usual, with his rendition of his own song, March of the Buffalo.